What's up, horror horde? This is your boy Horror Gamer back with another video for you, and as you can tell by the title of this video, this is another Horror Gamer Reads. Now, if you're new to Horror Gamer Reads, it's basically what it is. It's Horror Gamer Reads. Right now, we're in the middle of Resident Evil Volume 2, Caliban Cove. So what I do is I read you a chapter and then we discuss it, and yeah, that's about it. That's Horror Gamer Reads. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but I did get a new microphone, if you can see it right here dangling, so I can give you guys some better audio. So let me know if the audio is a little better and you can hear me a little better, because with the mask it's kind of hard sometimes to hear me and make out what I'm saying because it sounds so muffled on like a normal microphone. So I got one that kind of dangles right here so you guys can hear me a little better. So hope it makes a difference. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know in the comment section if you can tell the difference. And without further ado, let's just jump right into Resident Evil Volume 2, Caliban Cove. I mean, last chapter, it was a slower chapter. It was just on the ending of a huge gunfight in Barry's house with their secret meeting, and now Rebecca and I think his name's David. They're heading over to Maine to get into this facility that's underground that is kind of doing the same experiments that were being done in the mansion. And so yeah, let's just dive right into it. We are on chapter 5. Let's see how this one plays out, shall we? As he did most mornings since beginning the experiment, Nickolas Griffith sat on the open platform at the top of the lighthouse and watched the sun rise over the sea. It was an awesome spectacle from beginning to end. First, the black waves shading to gray as the sky lightened. The craggy rocks that lined his cove slowly taking form in the misty winds that swept off the water. As the radiant star peered over the side of the world, its first hesitant rays stained the ocean a deep azure blue, painting the pastel horizon with promise and renewal and gentle, nurturing acceptance of all that it touched. It was a lie, of course. Within hours, the molten giant would beat mercilessly against the shore, against this half of the planet. Its nearly mildness was a deception, a pretended ignorance of the seeping radiation and withering heat that would follow, but no less spectacular for the lying. It can't be blamed for a lack of self-awareness. After all, it is what it is. Griffith always watched until the sun cleared the curving horizon before getting on with his day. Although he appreciated the beauty of each glimmering dawn, it was the routine that appealed to him, not his, but that of the cosmos. Each sunrise was a statement of fact, speaking to an inevitable progression of time, and a reminder that the world spun eternally through the galactic paces, oblivious to the dreams of the self-important beings that scurried across the surface. Whew, that's some deep shit right there. Holy fuck. Beginnings such as myself, but for one very crucial difference, I know just how much my dreams are worth. As the swollen orb lifted itself from the sea, Griffith stood up and leaned against the platform, rattling, his thoughts turning to the day ahead. Having finally finished the blood work on the Leviathan series, he was ready to work more extensively with the doctors. All three had responded well to the change, and the rate of cellular deterioration had fallen considerably since he'd started with the enzyme injections. It was time to concentrate on their situational behavior, the final stage of the experiment. Within the week, he'd be ready to expand beyond the confines of the facility expansion, and cleansing. A crisp, saline wind ruffled his gray hair. The hungry cries of coasting gulls finally spurring him to action. The Trisquads had to be brought in before the scavenging birds moved inland. Several of the units had already been horribly scarred, and he didn't want to risk any more of them until he was finished. Once they lost their eyes, they were useless on patrol. Still, it's been so long, no one's coming. If Dr. Amon had succeeded, they'd have sent someone by now. Too bad, really. He's probably still waiting. The thought of an uncomfortable one, conjuring hazing images of redness and heat, of prone bodies in the manic summer sun, and later, the thunder of waves in the dark. He promptly buried the visions, reminding himself that it was in the past. Besides, he'd only done what was necessary. Griffith walked back inside, smoothing his wind-blown hair as he moved down the spiral staircase, his shoes clattering against the metal steps, creating a pleasant echo effect in the tall chamber. Having a facility to himself made everything pleasant, and he'd come to enjoy the little things, eating what he wanted, when he wanted, working his own hours, his mornings atop the lighthouse. Before he'd been forced to adhere to schedules that seemed designed to undercut creativity. Meal times, work times, sleep times. How could a man breathe, think, flourish in such conditions? He'd suffered for so long, sat through endless meetings, listening to the small-minded drivel of his colleagues as they raved over Birkin's T-virus. They'd slaved to come up with the triquads for Umbrella and had been deliriously happy with the results, apparently forgetting their future was the MA7s. They were unable to see past their own arrogance to a bigger picture, as if the Trisquads are anything more than bodies with guns, useful as guards, but hardly brilliant, hardly important. Although he'd worked not to let it go to his head, Griffith allowed himself a single moment of pride as he reached the bottom of the stairs and started for the exit. He'd seen the T-virus for what it really was, a crude but effective platform for something far greater. He'd isolated the proteins, reorganized the nucleaps. The nucleaps is, I don't know what that word is, envelope to allow the variables an effective capacity, and created an answer. The answer to the blight that the human race had become. A solution without violence or suffering. Smiling, he stepped through the door into the cool shadow of the lighthouse, the crash of the breaking waves at his back as he walked toward the dormitory building. He had already synthesized an airborne and had enough of it to infect most of North America. As the virus spread, evolution would take its rightful place. The weak of spirit falling beneath those of truer instincts. And when it was over, the sun would rise over a very different world, inhabited by a peaceful people of character and will. Take away a man's ability to choose, his mind becomes free, a blank, clean slate. With training, he becomes a pet. Without, he becomes an animal, as harmless and serenely simple as a mouse. Cover the world with such animals, and only the strong survive. He stepped into the dorm's rec room and turned on the lights, still smiling. His doctors were right, where he'd left them. Sitting at the meeting table, eyes closed. Ideally, He'd run through the tests with untrained subjects, but the 3 men would have to suffice. They'd been infected with the strain he would release, and were closest to what the world would become in a few days. My pets, my children. Besides the research laboratory, the Cove facility was designed to train bioweapons like the Trizquads or MA7s, but also to measure use of logic in the humanoid subjects. In the bunkers there were a number of items he could use, from the simplest of peg tests to complex puzzles for those subjects capable of higher functioning. He doubted his doctors would be able to manage even the Red series, but watching their reactions would provide valuable insight, particularly the tests where there was a pressure factor. They think, but can't make decisions. They function, but not without input. How will they fare without my guiding hand? This guy is fucking genius in a psychotic way. I'm just saying. As he approached the table, Dr. Athens opened his eyes, perhaps to see if there was a treat or a threat or something. Of the 3, Tom Athens was the strongest, the most likely to survive on his own. He'd been one of the behavioral scientists. In fact, he'd come up with the 3-unit team idea, the Trizquad, insisting that the infected units would work more efficiently in small groups. He'd been right. Doctors Thurman and Kinnison remained still, and Griffith noticed a foul smell coming from one of them. Scowling, he looked down, his suspicion confirmed by the wetness on Dr. Thurman's pants. He shit himself again. Griffith felt a sudden, almost overwhelming pity for Thurman, but it was quickly replaced by irritated disgust. Thurman had been an idiot before, a decent enough biologist, but as ridiculously narrow-minded as the rest of them. He'd grown most of the MA7s himself, and when they turned out to be uncontrollable, he laid blame on everyone but himself. If anyone deserved to wallow in his own filth, it was Lewis Thurman. It was just too bad that the good doctor wasn't capable of understanding how repulsively pathetic he'd become. Without me, he wouldn't have lasted a day. Griffith sighed, stepping back from the table. "Good morning, gentlemen," he said. In unison, the 3 men turned their heads to look at him, their eyes as blank as their faces. As different as they were physically, the slackness of their features and slow, vapid gazes made them look like brothers. "It seems that Dr. Thurman had evacuated his bowels," Griffith said. "He's sitting in feces. That's funny." All 3 of them grinned widely. Dr. Kinnison actually chuckled. He'd been the last to be infected, so had suffered the least tissue deterioration. Given the proper instructions, Alan could probably still pass for human. Griffith pulled the police whistle out of his pocket and put it on the table in front of Athens. "Dr. Athens, recall the Trizquads from duty. Tend to their physical needs and send them to the cold room. When you've finished, go to the cafeteria and wait." Oh, there's Jake the Horror Cat. He's enthralled in the book. Athens picked up the whistle and stood, then walked out of the room, down the hall toward the dormitory's other entrance. The whistle would deactivate the teams and call them in. There were 4 Trizquads, 12 soldiers in all. They'd been roaming the woods along the fence, or moving stealthily around the bunkers, having been trained to stay away from the northeast area of the compound. The lighthouse and dorm. Griffith had to admit they were quite effective in their purpose. Umbrella had wanted soldiers that would kill without mercy and fight until they were literally blown to pieces. The T virus had been good for that much. And since they'd sped up the amplification time, they'd been able to turn out subjects in hours rather than days. Once trained with weapons, the Trizquads, that's what I'm calling them, Trizquads, because I don't know what the fuck the word is. The Trizquads had become killing machines, although with the recent heat wave, he didn't know how much longer they'd be viable. Griffith turned his attention to Dr. Thurman, still grinning and stinking like some bloated infant. He even looked like a baby, pudgy and bald, his smile as innocent and guileless as a child's. Dr. Thurman, go to your room and remove your clothes. Shower and dress in clean clothes. Then go to the caves and feed the MA7s. When you've finished, go to the cafeteria and wait. Thurman stood up, and Griffith saw that the padded chair was wet and stained. Christ. Take the chair with you, Griffith said, sighing. Leave it in your room. After he'd gone, Griffith sat down across from Alan, suddenly feeling tired. The anticipatory pride he'd felt only moments before was gone, leaving a cold emptiness in its place. My children, my creation. The virus was so beautiful, so perfectly engineered, that the first time he'd seen it, he'd wept. Months of private research of picking apart the T-virus and isolating effect, culminating in the first micrograph. While the others had been gloating over their war toys, he'd found the true path to a new beginning. And do they appreciate what I've done? Do any of them know how crucial this is? Crapping himself like a disgusting child, like a monkey, disgracing my work, my life. Dude, this guy's got a lot of fucking issues, bruh. Griffith looked at Alan Kinnison, studying his handsome features, his expressionless eyes. Dr. Kinnison stared back, waiting to be told what to do. He'd been a neurologist once. There were pictures in his room of his wife and baby, a little boy with a bright, beautiful smile. Griffith's sanity shuddered. Suddenly, a terrible, rending twist that made him dizzy. 1,000 voices screaming unintelligibly through the cracks of reality. For a second, he felt as if he was losing his mind. How many will just starve to death, sitting in puddles of filth, waiting? Millions? Billions? What if I'm wrong? Griffith whispered. Alan, tell me I'm not wrong, that I'm doing this for the right reasons. You're not wrong, Dr. Kinnison said calmly. You're doing this for the right reasons. Griffith stared at him. Tell me your wife's a whore. My wife's a whore, Dr. Kinnison said. No pause, no doubt. Griffith smiled, and the fear melted away. Look what I've accomplished. It's a gift. My creation, a gift to the world. A chance for man to become strong again. A peaceful death for all the Lewis Thurmans in existence. Better than they deserve. He'd been working too hard, tiring himself, and the strain was getting to him. He was only human, after all, but he couldn't afford to let the stress of his body affect his mind again. There would be no more tests. He'd spend the day getting ready himself, preparing himself for the cleansing. Tomorrow at sunrise, Dr. Griffith would give his gift to the world. Holy shit. So while a short chapter, it was a very, very, very informative chapter in the fact that this Griffith guy is all by himself basically in this underground whatever, and he has infected these people with this virus that's basically making them into human robots. In other words, where they only spoke when they're spoken to, they only follow rules, and now he wants to take this and unleash it onto the world and make everybody just mindless. Like, this is another form of zombie, basically. Like, they're mindless, they can't think for themselves, they can't do for themselves. This guy's a fucking freak, man. Like, this chapter was actually really good, even though, like I said, there wasn't much action. There was no action. It was basically a dude sitting in shit. It was still, this is what I like to call a build-up chapter. Now we know what we're getting into. Like the other chapters, you had your action chapters, and then you had your, like, let's take a breath chapters. And now we have the build-up chapter to where now we know what's going to be happening. Now we know what Rebecca is there to fight or to stop. And that's epic. I love how they did that. So now I have a feeling the next chapter is going to just kind of slide us right into the story. Like, now we have the meat of the story. Now we have what is the ultimate baddie here. Now we're gonna have the epic, like, middle and then the conclusion, like where she's gonna be put in this predicament. We're gonna do this for a few chapters and then we're gonna come to the conclusion. I love it. We're only, 6 chapters in, and this is a good story, guys. This is a definitely real good story, and I have a feeling that it's going to get intense. So, but, alright, Horror Horde, with all that being said, I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. I really hope you guys can also tell the difference in the audio now. It's more clear, and you can hear me better, because that's a big thing. I'm going to be honest, I was debating on whether or not to take the mask off, because a lot of my videos, it's hard for me to it's hard for you guys to understand certain things I say because of the mask muffling my voice. So hopefully this is the fix that I needed. Hopefully I don't have to get rid of the mask, because let's face it, this is Horror Gamer right here. You know what I'm saying? What you see is Horror Gamer. If I get rid of this, I get rid of what is Horror Gamer. So but hopefully we don't have to do that. Let me know in the comment section if it's a lot better, if you can hear me better, if you can, distinguish my words better. And hopefully this is the fix. So, alright, Horror Horde, with all that being said, I love you guys. Thank you guys. And don't forget, if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button along with that ding-a-ling-ding-ding button. That way, every time your boy Horror Gamer throws up one of these Horror Gamer Reads, you're in the know. Also, when you're done doing that, run on over to the Horror Gamer Patreon and see what kind of cool stuff we got going on over there. We're always doing something new. We always have awesome movie nights. We try to get good movies watched. Now with streaming services, we can get movies that are in theaters at home, and we can watch them together. It's almost like virtually going to the movie theaters with each other, so that's a fun time. And then, after all that's said and done, run on over to the Z Network and see what kind of cool stuff we got going on out there. A bunch of us creators got together to just make something epic for everybody. It's not just horror. It's not just comedy. We have podcasts. We have horror. Your boy Horror Gamer contributes to that horror part. We got, a new series by my boy, Horror with Sir Sturdy, called Popcorn and Pints, where they talk about all kinds of movies. It's not just particularly horror. I've watched a few of those episodes and they're really good. So, alright, Horror Horde, with all that being said, I love you guys. Thank you guys. And until next time, this is your boy Horror Gamer saying, as always, don't fear the darkness. embrace it.